It's time to talk fantasy football. It's time to let them know. Where you let us crunch the numbers while you crush the competition. So grab your playbooks and crack a cold one, because here's your hosts, Teak and Baney.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the podcast. To wrap up the week, we got the sit-ems. We're going to go around the horn. You know the deal. We're going to get it going quick. Baney, QBs, go.
Alrighty, we talked about this guy a little bit last week when we did our player trivia, player A, player B. This week, my QB to sit was player B, Trevor Lawrence, man. I'm concerned about him. I'm concerned about the offense. I don't think that it looks good. I think that these guys were predicted to win that division, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. He was averaging like 14.4 points per game fantasy. If he didn't have a couple of those scrambles this week, he would have only had 12 fantasy points. He's just not getting it done with his arm. If you're willing to bet on Trevor Lawrence scrambling to get you your QB points, I don't love that. Bills look good. Defense looks real good. I get it. Jacksonville's staying in London for the week. I just don't know if that's going to be enough of an advantage. Bills might get Von Miller back too. That's a huge difference maker. His QBR is 49, man. That's 22nd in the league. That's just not going to get it done. We talked about CJ Stroud in the last episode. Quarterbacks like that are available, and I definitely think it's worth something to think about, man. I just don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to get it right this week. Bills' defense was humming last week, and I think that Dolphins' offense is a lot better than what this Jags are putting out. So it's going to be tough sledding, I think. So, Badge, how do we feel?
Baney, that is my exact same sit-em, T-Law. And it's a shame to say because I was big on him, and I took him in a couple leagues. This week is not the week. T-Law has been not himself all year round. We all feel that, I believe. And I don't think he finds himself this week against this tough Bills pass defense, even with White out. A lot of people are saying, hey, well, the Jags are staying in London, and I don't feel that's going to be a benefit. I mean, these guys are pro athletes. I mean, they know how to travel, jet lag, whatever. I don't believe it. I mean, if anything, these Jags are going to be sightseeing and hanging out and going in London bars, having a good old time. I don't think that's going to be a factor. I'm sitting T-Law as well. I also had Derek Carr as a sit-em, but I want to give you guys someone who is. I don't think many people are starting Derek Carr. More of a FanDuel sit. I wouldn't grab Derek Carr. Tough matchup against the Patriots, but yeah, I agree with Baney. We had the same sit-em. T-Law. I'm gonna pass this to Teak.
Yeah, I like to sit as well until he proves something. I know I drafted him in one or two leagues, but I also came back around and got a QB for some odd reason just to back him up, and I'm glad I did. Yeah. Since you guys had the same sit-em here, we'll go on to mine. It's kind of a future sit-em as well. Can sit this group all together for the rest of the season until they fire their OC. I'm sure you can pick out your favorite Steelers fan that you work with, friends with, whatever. I'm canceling the Pittsburgh QB room general. You can sit them for here on out, throw it away until Matt Canada is done. This offense looks just as bad as my team's. I want no part of this game. Plus, it's a division game. So,
Baney, I'm taking this first. Is all I gotta say. I'll keep it quick.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
hey, you couldn't
Baney.
even use a Sharpie.
I didn't have one.
ain't worth the ink. Ain't worth the ink.
Matt Canada stole it for his one-page playbook. If he's playing, if Matt Canada, sorry, Benny, Matt Canada is there on Sunday, I'm gonna jump. I will not be here next week. I'm gonna jump off my roof. Sorry, Benny. Go ahead. I agree, Teak.
Hopefully he doesn't land in his neighbor's yard that he chose to sat a couple weeks ago.
Rid of him.
Dude, yeah. Everywhere you go, I mean, you're talking about Steelers fans everywhere, dude. From the old ladies at work to like the random guy walking past. It's the only conversation you hear at work is, how does this guy have a job? How is Matt Canada the offensive coordinator still? This. Man. And then Tomlin. I don't understand, man. Tomlin's usually like buttoned up, doesn't say too much, just kind of stays out of the way, but he just like keeps saying things like, we're gonna make changes. Hell yeah, we're gonna make changes. Do all this stuff. What changes? There's only one thing you need to change, and that is getting your OC out of the building. You can't tell me that
Wow.
there's not somebody that can run this offense better than them. They have weapons. I mean, when they're healthy, they really have guys. I mean, Calvin Austin is great. I, their scouting division knows how to get wide receivers in the building. I don't get it, man. I really don't. It's a great sit. It's a great sit next week and the week after that.
It's a good future.
It's just
Yeah, I know.
yeah,
I know. I said I was done. I know. I said I was done. I was keeping short, but now I'm a little hot. So, do you guys know that since Matt Canada was hired, Pittsburgh Steelers offense has not had a 400-yard game total offense? What is going on? What does Matt Canada have on this team? What does he have on the front office? Get him out of there. Okay, if you want to keep him on the squad, put him back to the wide receivers coach, put him to offense, give him a water boy. I don't care. Get him off the play calling.
you know what he has? A ton of bets on the under. I think he is just betting Kenny Pickett under every game, and he has probably tripled his salary in the last 2 years.
Yeah, I know Pittsburgh's very loyal and proud organization, but dude, you're losing. You're losing the fan base. You're losing. Get rid of the guy, please.
So
All right.
I think we hit it on the head there with Canada. So
Yeah.
we'll go to the running backs here. Vaney, who do you have at the running back?
Somebody at the beginning of the year that if I were to tell you was on this list, I think you and I would both shake our head, scratch, all that stuff. Ramondre Stevenson.
Are you kidding
Um,
me?
dude, he's just not. I don't understand what's going on with this offense. Ramondre Stevenson's just like not even being used as a part of the offense. I thought we were going to get the breakout season. I was advising people to take him early in leagues if you wanted him because his talent in production last year were supposed to translate, especially that they had nobody else. They brought Zeke in. Well, Zeke's getting a lot more work than I thought he was going to. He doesn't even necessarily look good in that workload, but he's getting it. So they're obviously liking what they're seeing. Stevenson's value is a lot in that pass game. He's really getting like no pass work at all. 2.7 yards per carry on the season. And on top of all of that, they lost their two top defensive players this week for a long time. Judon's probably out for the year. Gonzalez is out at least temporarily for the next couple weeks. I just, man, I think the game script's going to be a lot of them passing, and if these trends continue, it's going to be Stevenson not getting the ball. And the Saints defense is good. So, all that being said, man, I'm surprised we're here. Yeah, I don't know what's going on in New England. I know a lot of fantasy shows, football shows everywhere are pushing the panic button on Bill. It's not necessarily Bill. It's just they just don't have any talent. That offense just looks gutless. It's horrible, and they look good in week 1. So like, I'm confused. I don't know what's happening. I hate to see it. It's a player I was big on, but guys, how do we feel?
So, Baney, I was gonna say, are you cheating off my notes? But I'm gonna go ahead and say, great minds think alike. Stevenson was my sit-em as well. I'm not fading him as a player. I just think he's had a tough draw these past few games. I mean, he's played the New York Jets. I think they're still an elite defense. 7 fantasy points. Played the Dallas Cowboys. Elite defense, I believe. 6 fantasy points. Now he goes on to play the New Orleans Saints defense as well. I think that continues. I still think Stevenson's going to have a decent fantasy season as long as Mac Jones can figure it out. But again, I mean, the Saints' run defense is pretty solid, so I'm sitting them as well, Baney. I agree with you. So that's my sit of the week. Teak?
I believe Zappy's starting this week. I think they
Oh,
are.
are they starting him?
I think they benched Mac this week. So
They said that Mac's benching wasn't performance based; it was more preservation. That's what Bill said in the interview. I don't know necessarily if it's smoke and mirrors or what, but I did hear that Mac wasn't sat based on performance. It was just the game was out of reach. That being said, I don't think that. I think Bailey's a good quarterback, man. I do. He flashed last year when they used him. Why not see what he can do in a Bill O'Brien ran offense?
Yeah, I mean, 2 of those touchdowns came from um, Mac on offense. So they had a fumble 6 and a pick 6. So, I mean, Bill Belichick, I don't think he's going to put up with that. So maybe Zappy is the play.
for my running back, I went Kyron Williams this week. Second best against the run. Like I said in our Stardoms episode, I think they're going to sling the rock. They're going to play catch up. Really do. Yeah, he's going to grab a couple receptions here, but as far as the run game goes, I think Philly has a good run defense, and that's going to continue on. Kyron Williams, is he a good player? Yeah. Obviously, he's produced this year, but I don't think he's that elite player where he can make a difference against one of the top defenses. So that's why I'm going to sit him this week.
Yeah. Odds are if you have him, you probably spent some good fab to get him. And if you have him due to injury, you might be thin at this position in the first place. But all that being said, it's going to be a tough matchup, man. It really is. So, yeah, if you sit him, hopefully you have a backup plan. Hopefully he was already in a flex and you can kind of flex a wide receiver in there to save yourself. Um, but yeah, if you got to use them, I think you're going to be looking and struggling for some productivity out of that spot. So definitely a safe sit. I think the game script's going to be a lot of passing for them. So be tough. Definitely agree with you.
Yeah, that Philly front 7 here, I mean, one of the best. So not a bad sit at all. Chances are, if you have him, I mean, great scoop, great draft pick. I mean, he's probably your flex guy, working his way into a starting role if you have injuries. I mean, we were lucky enough to get like A-Chain and Williams and guys like that. But yeah, this week, if you can afford to sit him, yeah, I mean, Philly's front 7 is stout. I mean, that pass rush is phenomenal. I think it's going to be all Philly. They seemed A.J. Brown's getting going. Smith, that offense seemed to be waking up each week. So I don't disagree with that, Sid. I'm not going to start him.
All right, moving to the receivers, Baney.
So I made sure to go upstairs, lock the doors, make sure the windows are bolted shut and everything, because Mike's gonna come over here and probably attack. Um, George Pickens. It's not a talent play. It's not that. It's simply he's attached to that quarterback room and Matt Canada. Um, and on top of that, man, I don't know why the AFC North has every single division game in the first like 4 weeks, 5 weeks. It's tough, man. I think AFC North player has made our sit list in almost every single episode, and rightfully so, man. These guys they just show up and bang, and they're low scoring games, and this is gonna be no different. At least on the Steelers side, it's gonna be low scoring. Um, Deontay's out, Fryermuth's out. Why wouldn't they draw the coverage to Pickens and just smother this pass game? I mean, that's how I see this game playing out. Um, the Ravens don't miss when they draft Kyle Hamilton. I love my Notre Dame guys. He is a stud safety. He iced the game for them the other day. What changes, man? We talked about it a little bit ago. Like, what are the changes the Steelers going to make? Because, I mean, I think it's not just as simple as putting a quarterback in there. But at what point do you look at these quarterbacks coming out of this draft and decide, like, hey, one of these guys are going to be our guy? That being said, you got to get Canada out of there. You have to. But you throw one of these kids on this offense, man. Shedeur Sanders on this offense, Drake May on this offense. I don't know if the Steelers will be able to get those guys, but I mean, Sam Hartman from Notre Dame. I think Sam Hartman is the ideal Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. Stand in the pocket, tough nose, get the ball out, and manage the game. You put Sam Hartman right now in that offense with these weapons, that's a productive offense. Instantly. I just think Steelers fans and the Steelers organization, I think pride is a really good word. And I think that they just refuse to believe that Pickett is not the guy. And Canada's not the guy. They just want their guys to succeed so bad that they just put blinders on. And we're getting talent like George Pickens that's just getting wasted week in, week out. That being said, man, he could have 2 catches and still make that a fantasy valuable week because he'll go 2 catches for 88 yards and a touchdown. That's the talent the kid has. And unfortunately, it's wasted right now. It's a real bummer. I'm not trying to pick on you, Mike. I know you love your guys.
You're not picking.
You love Pickens. We all love Pickens. Teek's high on Pickens. Man, just get this guy a quarterback. Honestly, I could see the Steelers doing that, but whether they will or not, I don't know. I really don't know. But that's my pick. George Pickens, tough matchup against Baltimore. It's got to be as simple as that.
So, Baney, a couple things. One, you don't have to lock your windows. You have to lock mine because Matt Canada's there Sunday. I'm jumping out of my window. I'm not coming in yours. I'm sitting everybody in the receiving corps, everybody in that offense, as long as Matt Canada's here. So, as far as Pickett goes, I'm not giving up on him. I love Pickett as a player. He is a tough draw with this offensive coordinator, Matt Canada. Get rid of the guy. Like I said, I'm not crawling up your house. I'm not going to jump through your window for this because I'm sitting him too. But I'm not giving up on Pickett yet. You got to get rid of Matt Canada. Every game, you know what I see? Every game, I watch 6 end-arounds to wide receivers. I watch 10 tight end screens or wide receiver screens that get blown up in the backfield for a 6-yard loss. This play calling is hellacious. It's the same plays week in and week out. He is terrible. I do not blame Pickett whatsoever. I think he could be a decent quarterback in this league. We all seen signs last year. I mean, he was one of the best at the end. You got to get rid of Canada. I mean, I don't hate the sit, Baney. I love the sit, actually. I'm not starting anyone on this offense except Najee. He had 100 yards total offense. That's a plus for me. That's the only thing I could take out of that game last week. I'm sitting Pickens as well. I'm not starting anybody on that offense. Teak?
So is it safe to say the main reason for this offense being bad is Matt Canada, Mike?
100%. Get rid of him, please. And they're not going to.
No, I like.
He should have been gone 2 years ago. What is this guy doing in Pittsburgh right now? Please.
I like to say we're just gonna keep it moving before this stretches any longer. Who do you have at the wide receiver badge that you're sitting?
So
Matt Canada.
yeah, dude. Oh man. All right. I forgot what I was saying. I'm so hot right now. But anyways, great sit, Baney. Love it. Pickett, love you. Anyways, so my sit-em, I'm sitting Jerry Jeudy against the Jets. So the Jets defense allowed the second fewest fantasy points to wide receivers this year. I mean, they have one of the best cornerbacks in Sauce Gardner. These guys just fly around the ball. I mean, they played some tough matchups, so they don't have a lot of eye-popping stats that everyone was going to think from watching Hard Knocks. I mean, this pass rush is going to make Russ uncomfortable. He's not going to be able to get the ball out. I don't think Jerry Jeudy's going to be a factor. I mean, I would even go as far as say sit Cortland Sutton as well. I'm not big on Zach Wilson, but I think it's going to be this defense going to be enough to get the job done. I'm sitting Jerry Judy this week.
I have Cortland Sutton. I am sitting him this week. So that logic lines right up with where I'm at. Both these guys are going to struggle against this defense. It seems like everybody has, and rightfully so, man. The Jets are exactly as billed. They are an elite defense this year. Yeah, I don't think that there's much else to be said. It's just kind of don't overthink it. There's a couple defenses this year that are just going to make fantasy plays very hard, and I think that it's the Jets, the Niners, and sometimes Dallas, unless you're Arizona. But that being said, yeah, it's a great sit. And on top of that, I mean, I'm still not even a believer in Jerry Judy to begin with. So,
Yeah,
this
and I
guy's
do,
ugly
I,
face
I,
on.
I do have to
You
say
got to
before
say
T goes, he looks like he's gonna say something. I mean, this
it's a
Taylor
stinky
Swift,
face.
Zach Wilson did play decent last week. I don't know if this is a Swifty curse or not. So hopefully he keeps that rolling. Teak, go ahead. You got to say something.
He's
Did
got a blank space. He's ready to
did
write a name.
Fire Matt Canada.
did you did you say you weren't high on Judy?
No. No, I'm fading myself. It's a humbling day for the boy. It really is.
And I guess my next
Yeah,
question is, who is the number one receiver there in Denver?
I'm waiting for Marvin Mims season, man. Marvin Mims is, I mean, honestly, if you put yards to targets, he's the most productive receiver on that team. I'm not
Who
letting you win.
who's the number one receiver right now for Denver? I
On the
know who it
roster
is,
or in my heart?
and it's
It's
Cortland
like my
Sutton.
break.
Cortland Sutton
My
is the number one guy there. His fantasy
computer's
numbers,
breaking up. My connection's not working, Teak. I don't know what's going on.
he is the number one guy there. For fantasy wise, he's getting a lot more starts than you think. But I like the set of Jerry Judy. Little Twitter or X called now, little X ban. I don't know if you guys seen those between him and an ex Bronco, Philip Lindsay. Uh, that I don't know if you saw that badge. He was ragging on the offense and the receiving core. But yeah, I like the sit. I do. That offense is horrid right now. It seems like this is a weird year for fantasy where you have a bunch of teams that are really bad at something and you know they're bad at something. And the Broncos is you just know as a whole they suck. We thought that was going to be the Cardinals, but the Bears and Broncos were just like, hold my beer. We got this.
Yeah. I just think it's just like a testament of like it's the NFL. These guys are all incredibly top of the line athletes. Like it's just a matter of who's gonna roll over and die and not like show up every week. And so far that has been the Bears and the Broncos. Man, they just rolling over and just giving you the belly. They're bad, man. There's no fighting them at all, and it's just like Russ really hasn't been that bad either, to be honest with you, this year.
Yeah, we didn't get no contemplation videos of him yet, but
Maybe
Yeah,
against the
dude. I mean, it's
Bears.
hard to root for the guy, but it's still. I mean, he's being fantasy relevant. Sean Payton has not lived up to that contract so far, so it's wild. I definitely agree with everything that's been said.
Yeah, another note: Hackett versus Sean Payton this week. Little fire in the kitchen there.
yeah, we talked about that a couple episodes ago. Um, Moving on to my wide receiver. I just want to say I have no faith in this pass offense whatsoever. Watching this offense week to week, it's Drake London I'm sitting. I don't think Arthur Smith is a bad coach. I just think he is a terrible play caller. Um, and it just came out that Kyle Pitts is not 100% either. Finally, we got some clarity on that. Um, Falcons fans were rushing Matt Ryan out the door instead of praising him for what he brought to this franchise. And now you got Desmond Ritter, and you have to live with that. You passed up on Watson. passed up on Lamar, and we're stuck with Ritter. So you have a couple options. You either trade him, draft the guy. I think I'm not even going to talk about Fields, Baney. I'm shutting that down right now. There's rumors for Justin Fields. Not going to happen on my watch. I will buy just like I did for the Chicago Bulls. I donated to get rid of Gary Pax, and I'll donate to send Justin back to Chicago. I think they're going to draft the guy, and I think they're going to go back to Arthur Smith's alma mater, and they're going to go get Drake May out of North Carolina. But I'm sitting the whole Falcons receiving core.
I can't agree with you more that there needs to be a different play caller in Atlanta. Um, I really love that offense. I think that they have good pieces all the way down to Jonnu Smith. They have players that are, I mean, they're deep, dude. Even Algier at running back. Like, they have weapons everywhere. They're a perfectly built team. Like, they're, like, ready to go right now.
And I like
And
Mac Hollins, dude. I didn't think I would. I like how he's performing when he actually gets the ball.
former Eagle. But man, seriously, like, I texted you this at the beginning of the year. Two things we talked about a long time ago. I like Heineke. I don't think he's an elite quarterback. I don't think he's got crazy talent. What he does have is an arm, and he's not afraid to sling it, throw it, and just kind of just attack the secondary. And that's what Ritter doesn't do. And Ritter's redeeming quality was that he didn't turn the ball over. He's turning the ball over at a high clip right now. Heineke is going to give you those turnovers. However, he's also going to throw the ball. He's going to throw it 40 yards down the field. He's going to give Kyle Pitts a chance. These guys aren't getting chances. Pitts gets a target. It's a freaking jump ball on the sideline where he has to toe tap it and fight through three people and a mascot. Like, what chances are these guys getting to succeed? Drake London's an elite wide receiver. Elite wide receiver. Doesn't get any chances. Now we have to fade him and sit him on our bench every week. It's no different than the Pickens conversation I was just having. These guys are guys we should be flipping out about on a week-to-week basis, and we don't get to because these guys are just being wasted. It's such a bummer, man. And talk about Pitts being hurt. We talked about that at the beginning of the year too. I heard something, I don't remember her name, and I feel really bad for not knowing her name, but on Field Yates' show, they were talking about how weird it was that there's no news from Pitts. On an injury that had a specific timeline of like 5 to 6 months, we hit that timeline and we still weren't really hearing anything. And then he wasn't kind of at camp. And then once he was at camp, oh, everything is perfect, no issues. And now we're 5 weeks into the season and he's not healthy. And he wasn't healthy. So what are we doing? I don't understand. This offense should be so much better than it is, and it's kind of a bummer. Hopefully they get the wheels on it. Hopefully they take the top off. I don't know if we're going to see Ritter do that. I thought we were going to see him get benched, and we were going to finally see some difference in that offense, and we didn't get it. So I'm surprised. How do you feel about that? Like, did you think Ritter was going to come back in that game?
Yeah, I do, because Arthur Smith, I feel like, is kind of like Mike Tomlin. The pride soaks in, and that's why they're starting him this week too. I just think when they bench him, they can never go back to him. I think his confidence is going to be diminished after that, and I think he'll be out the door after that. So I think they're grasping on to any strings they have left with him. I said this last year. So last year, Mariota, we all know Mariota is one of the worst QBs in the league. Why not pull the string on Mariota early? We could have got a better look at Ritter then, so you were already prepared for this coming up. Maybe you would have got Watson. Maybe you would have made a play for Lamar Jackson then. Now your best bet is either Kirk Cousins or draft one. So you didn't make a play on David or Derek Carr. I almost said David again. I know Badge mentioned David a couple episodes ago. You didn't make plays on any of these QBs, Jimmy G. So it's like you made your bed. It all started with the whole Matt Ryan thing, and now you get Ritter. He was a third-round pick for a reason. So.
And Shedeur Sanders in Atlanta jersey. Can you see it?
I don't know. I don't know what I can see anymore with this franchise, dude.
Yeah, Teague, I think both our teams right now are in very similar situations.
I'm gonna cut you
Um,
off right there. This has been 1 year for you guys. I've been living with this. I've been living with this for a while.
well,
I got
I'm saying this year a waste of talent on paper. If you put this talent, the Atlanta Falcons, I mean these playmakers, like you mentioned, Mac Hollins, guy can make some plays. He brings a lot of energy. He's a big dude. I mean, the guy makes plays. You got Drake London, you got Algier, you got Bijan, you got Pitts. That on paper should be one of the best offenses. So something needs to change there. Something needs to change here. For me, we all know what that I feel it needs to change. So, yeah, feels like a waste of an offense. I don't know if it's a play calling or what in Atlanta because I haven't watched the game, so I can't really see how Ritter's what the plays he's running. I know with Pickett, it's 100% the plays. I love Pickett. Not just saying that but I don't want to get on that train again. But yeah, I mean on paper, Atlanta Falcons have so much talent on offense. They should be a at least top 10 offense with those names in skill. So yeah, I think you got to sit them as well right now.
moving on to the tight ends.
So I mean, we got to talk about Mike's team. We got to talk about Teague's team. I guess we'll talk about mine. Um, Dallas Goddard, man, hasn't got rolling. I don't think it's gonna get rolling. It's a bummer, dude. Through the first 4 weeks, it's 21.8 combined fantasy points. That's an average of 5.45 fantasy points per game. You know who's averaging more than that? Kyle Pitts. Yeah, Kyle Pitts has more fantasy points than Dallas Goddard right now. Do you know who Jeremy Ruckert is? Any of you either heard of him? Have you? No? He's a third string tight end for the Jets. He had more fantasy points last week than Dallas Goddard. Yeah, third string tight end with the Jets with Zach Wilson throwing him the ball. Dallas Goddard plays on one of the best offenses with one of the best quarterbacks in football. He's doing nothing, man. It's the game that he had 6 catches. He had 20 yards receiving. The offense looks bad. Hurts is missing him. They're running like opposite routes than what they're supposed to. I promise you, there's a better option on the waiver wire right now. Just target the dude cleaning up the parking lot, I guess. I don't know. The third string tight end for the Jets outproducing him was not a stat I expected to discover. It's just brutal, man. It's a player that has crazy talent on an explosive offense, and it's just not syncing up right now. It's just not fun. It's not fun.
So
So
let me take this one first, Badge.
Do they need to call Vince Papali real quick? Do they need to call Vince?
Vince Papa.
anybody.
I just want to see everybody is ready to say Pitts is a bust and stuff like that. Dude's not 100%, and he's out producing the guy who's projected ahead of him that you're drafting ahead of him, fantasy. But I don't see no Dallas Goddard slander anywhere.
Oh, it's crazy. It's like I promise you, dude. I don't. If you're ever feeling wild, venture into Philly Twitter. So Philly X, wild place, and they're not happy about really anything ever. But like, this specifically is a topic being discussed. It's concerning. He's a major part of the offense.
And the thing
Like,
is, yeah, you can make the comparison about how like, oh well, Kyle Pitts is supposed to be like this unicorn, and he's supposed to be more talented. Well, he's only as talented as the guy throwing him the ball. And
Yep.
like you said, you got one of the best QBs in the league, so it doesn't add up. And it's not like Dallas Goddard's not talented. We saw him last year start off strong until he got hurt. So that was my play. If he was going to start off, he was going to start off strong again, and hasn't gone to him.
The only thing I can say is I told you to fade Komet last week, and it made sense. Everything made sense to fade Komet, and he went off. I can only benefit from Goddard going off as an Eagles fan and having a future, but we don't got to get into that.
So
But
this is the real reason for your pick.
dude, reverse psychology, man. I'm telling you. But no, I just the more I look at it, the more the numbers and the trends are just not adding up. And when he's getting targets, it's still not leading to production. And he's frustrated, man. So I don't know. It's getting overshadowed by some really good receivers, and I guess that's a good problem to have. But yeah, I don't know, man. I also saw Philly was linked to Chase Claypool. I also will jump out of my window and not be participating
I seen
in next
that
week's
too.
episode. Yeah.
Well,
Not willing to ride that ride.
How much
Sorry.
money does this team have that they're just signing they're signing checks like they're Oprah constantly? It feels like for free agents and trades.
Sign Man Canada is your water boy.
It's crazy to think about like how many guys they're bringing in. It's
Yeah.
Well, that's what you're able to do when your top defensive players are rookies on rookie contracts from Georgia. Hargrave got paid like crazy by San Francisco, and well, we replaced him with Jalen Carter, who is literally only second to Javon Hargrave. So, I mean, there's a lot of rookie production. Jalen's contract is a lot more team friendly than the number looks if you actually break it down. And they let people walk on defense that ultimately did get paid somewhere else. I mean, Miles Sanders' contract is like triple what our entire running back room is. Our highest paid running back is Boston Scott with like $1.2 million. Like, there's money in this team, yes, but it's invested where it's supposed to be. And I'm not convinced Dallas Goedert will be getting an extension.
before we go on to you here, Badge, for your tight end. I just want
All
to
right, blue.
I just
I
want
want to talk about.
I just want to
Go ahead.
say that you love to hate talking about Matt Canada as much as Benny loves talking about the Eagles.
Dude, and I don't even feel bad. They're 4-0. They're 4-0. What do you have to be mad about? I'm watching end arounds and screens get blown up. Najee get hit 3 yards in the backfield.
So
I didn't
it's
I didn't
so
even see a
funny that
touchdown last
I
week.
just it's the battle of PA rants. I basically sit here for an hour an episode with you guys listening about the battle of PA.
But no, back to this. I don't disagree with the sit. I'm sitting Dallas Goedert if I have him. Would I be worried about him? No. I think Philly's offense keeps getting better and better each week. I know they're not anywhere near like they were last year that you were used to seeing, but again, you're 4-0. I think Goddard's gonna turn it on here soon. But yes, I'm sitting him this week as well until he can turn it on. But I wouldn't be worried about it. I think they're gonna eventually start to click with him and get back to their roots. And Jalen's starting to the wheels are starting to turn on that wagon there. So
Who do you have at tight end? Patch?
so my tight end, I'm sitting Evan Ingram against the Bills. So I'm gonna keep mine simple. I mean the Bills defense, they're kind of elite. My only note here is they shut shit down. So I'm gonna pass it along.
I like Evan a lot this year. I have him in a couple leagues. Yeah, the matchup I don't like.
Yeah, pure matchup set.
I don't match him for him, especially with the struggling T-Law. Say that.
Yeah. Once a giant, always a giant. I think he's a lemon. That's just how I feel about him. The offense is struggling. We talked about it. They're just not playing good ball right
Just
now.
always goes
and-
back to a Philly thing every time.
Hey. I'm suffering from success right now. You leave me alone. But no, dude. Seriously, it's matchup based. Bills defense. We talked about it. I'm sitting T-Law for this reason. You could make an argument for sitting Ridley too. It's just looking real weird right now. Week 1 set the world on fire. Week 2 and like further on, it doesn't look good. and Evan Ingram is gonna, I think, struggle this week. So I think the Bills' defense is the real deal. I think they're figuring it out. Cool to see Hamlin back on the field too.
For sure. This has been a weird year so far. In a lot of different places.
Anyway, for my tight end, I'm sitting. You sat him last week, didn't pan out. I'm sitting him this week. It's Cole Kmet. Commanders are the second best against the tight end position. Everyone is hyping up this Bears comeback, it seems like, because Fields put up numbers against the arguably the worst defense in the league. That's not going to switch my mind on how I feel about it at all. And to top it all off, Fields blew that game. Fumbled for a touchdown, and he threw a pick at the last drive. So, arguably, he had one good quarter, and that was with Cole Kmet. This Commanders defense, I think, is kind of sneaky. Second best ranked against the tight end position. He's a sit for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Cole Kmet's just such a streaky player, but all his fantasy points are solely touchdown based. I think that dates back since he's been in the league.
You need a
You're not
QB.
really gonna. But my thing is you're not gonna base your value in Kmet attached to passing touchdowns in an offense that doesn't give you passing touchdowns, i.e., Justin Fields. And like I said, I think last week when we talked about Kmet on my fade, is all the targets are getting streamlined to DJ Moore, and yeah, I still don't see Kmet as a viable threat or a viable fantasy play. I looked dumb last week, but I'm telling you, it's a fluke, and I'm glad that you put him on this list so we could kind of double down on that. If it happens again, then maybe the Bears found something, but I highly doubt that. I think it was just the benefit of the worst defense.
Yeah, Baney, I don't think you look dumb with that said, honestly. Chicago's an absolute disaster. I think even that game, they put up some points. I think it's going farther downhill because, I mean, that coaching staff is absolutely terrible. I do not disagree with Fields whatsoever. I mean, I bet Chicago +3. What are you doing going for it on the 20-yard line with minutes left instead of kicking the field goal and taking the lead and getting your team the first win? What are you thinking? What are you doing? I mean, it wasn't like you were on the 40-yard line. It was a chip shot field goal. I mean, that coaching staff is a nightmare. So I don't think you were done with that said at all. I mean, that team is absolute disaster. It's a fire. It's a shit show. So I feel dumb for being high on Fields right now. So, or at the beginning of the season, because that whole team is in shambles.
Yeah, I believe the words you used were going to be the first QB to throw for 4,000 yards. Bears franchise history.
He still could if they start slinging a little bit like last week, but that coaching staff does not have. What are you doing going for that? But yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. I even bet on $100 for him to win MVP at the beginning of the year.
I was just gonna say that wasn't Mike's hottest take for Fields. That was the MVP one that was wild. But
It was +2,000 off FanDuel. Lock it up. Sponsorship.
I wouldn't lock that up, but especially that future bet. But I don't know. It's well documented
well documented.
how I feel.
Maybe
about
Matt
that.
Canada should go to the fucking Bears.
Just trying to send him anywhere at this point. But that does wrap up our sits. Wraps up another week. Again, hopefully you guys take this with a grain of salt. I know. Hey, we've been actually doing pretty good. If we should start doing some points based or something, or starts and sits, just to make it a little interesting, a little fun.
I agree.
Maybe go a little head to head with each other and the other guy.
Let's do that this week. Let's start it this week, boys. You down?
Yeah, we'll do a little point system.
We'll go tallies.
We'll go head to head, and then the loser sits out and has to host that week or something. Something stupid like that, you know.
Run a marathon.
It's like the shame. But
Mike has to do the gritty on camera.
I will do the gritty.
If you
Not gonna look
lose,
pretty, but
But that does wrap up another episode, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. 60% of you still are not subscribed to the channel. That means a lot to us. It is totally free. Hit that and make sure you hit the bell for notifications. See you on the next one.
peace.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Let 'Em Know Fantasy Football Podcast. Join our community and follow us on all socials or keep up with the episodes on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts.